What is going on, nerds of wrestling, and welcome to today's episode of What's Up Wrestler, a podcast by nerds of wrestling. It is I, your host, Justin Del Rio, and my guest at this very time is Victoria Pot. Victoria, what the hell is going on? How are you today?
I am doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know I tried to have you on last season, but I think like things got kind of chaotic where our schedules and couldn't really link up. But today I'm finally have you on. I'm so excited to be able to make this happen.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. We're living in a crazy time right now, and I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like I feel like it's kind of near the end, but like things just keep coming out every day like, oh nope,
Oh yeah.
this happened, that happened. How have you been during this time?
Um, Healthy,
There you go.
and that's all I could really ask for. Me and my family, like we're all good. No one ended up getting COVID, thank goodness.
Well, thank God for that. I know you've just been killing it in the wrestling scene as of late, but before we talk about that, let's talk about a little bit about how you got into wrestling. What really what how did you get into wrestling? Like who were some wrestlers growing up that you looked up to?
Honestly, like I didn't really get into the wrestling world until like I was older. My friend introduced me. And like I kind of just fell in love with it. Mainly it was like Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, like all of them. And like my friend just decided that, hey, let's go to an independent show. And I was just like, okay.
There you
And I
go.
fell in love with it. And I was like, I need to do this.
I love wow. So you said you started watching like when Charlotte Flair was wrestling, Alexa Bliss was wrestling. Is that if I'm not mistaken?
I mean, like Charlotte Flair, like I didn't really get introduced to her until like
Okay.
later when they like started using her again.
Right.
But like I started watching like mainly when Alexa Bliss was still in NXT. And she was doing like the little glitter everywhere, and I absolutely just fell in love with that gimmick. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that's me. I love glitter.
I love that. That's my favorite. I love Alexa Bliss at that time. I had the biggest crush on her around that time when she was introduced to WWE. Wow. You are right. You started kind of watching wrestling fairly kind of late. You weren't into
Yeah,
it like you weren't into it like in middle school or like high school.
not really. And I know it's really weird because like a lot of people are like in the wrestling world, like they grew up around it. They just like, everybody loved it like growing up, like their parents liked it and stuff like that. I didn't have that. So it was like it didn't wasn't until I met my friend and she was like, "Oh my goodness, like wrestling." And I'm like, "What is this?" Like and I just absolutely fell in love with it. Like I love the fact of escaping imagination, like going into a different world and it's I just love it.
I love that. But you have the WWE Network, which is now on
Oh yeah,
Peacock. I'm
you know.
assuming you caught up on all the old wrestling
Oh
and
yeah.
just
Oh yeah,
everything.
definitely.
Uh, do you wish you were a fan at the time, or do you kind of were like, okay, this
Honestly,
was pretty cool?
yes. I honestly I really do. And I love the fact that like I got into it when like women's wrestling really started hitting. And I love the fact that like they really use the women wrestlers now. Like they used them back in the day, like with Victoria and like Lita and all of them. But like now today, like they just main event, like they had an amazing match, Bianca and Sasha, and it's just like I'm happy I'm in it today because I did like I love Shawn Michaels, I love Triple H, I loved like all of the degeneration and all that.
Right.
But it's like seeing like the women evolve, like I love the fact that I got into it when I did because I feel
Speak.
like I appreciate it more.
Yo, absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of really quick, Sasha and Bianca, holy shit, they
Yes.
tore the house down at WrestleMania.
Oh yes, they did.
I called it way before. I called it in October, and my prediction was right. I'm like, I didn't call Bianca winning, but I did call Bianca winning the Rumble. I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to see her face Sasha at WrestleMania, but I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's kind of too early. But I'm like, wait, she just won the Rumble. Like, she's definitely facing Sasha at Mania. Like, what? What were your thoughts on WrestleMania? I know you were a big fan of that
Um,
Sasha Bianca match. You just said.
oh my goodness, yeah. Like I think that match stole the show. And I really I like some of it was a hit or a miss. like I didn't really care for like the tag matches. Like they kind of lost me in that. I like the concept of it, but at the
Right.
end of the day, it was just like, all right.
So
But yeah.
you're not a fan of tag teams at all, or like tag matches?
No, I do. I do like tag teams, but it was like the way they did it. It was just kind of like threw me off in a way. But and then after I believe it was oh my goodness, who came out? I believe it was Dana and oh my god, who was she with?
Oh, she was with Mandy.
Yeah, like those two. Like I was really expecting more from them because they have amazing talent, but it was like it just seemed like it was really lacking.
Right.
Like
I
nobody was really getting a lot of like I don't know. It was like lacking.
I mean, I wasn't really a fan of that match. Like I loved
Yeah.
WrestleMania. I loved WrestleMania. The whole thing was great. The one thing I would have changed though was to put the Riot Squad over in that turmoil match, to have them go
Yeah.
for the titles the next night. I'm like, what, yo? How have the Riot Squad had been around this long, and Liv Morgan or Ruby Riot has never held a title, not even a tag team title in the WWE?
No.
Like what?
Like
Like what are you doing? Like
yeah.
it's long. I believe in the term long overdue, but Riot Squad, that was your moment to put them over at WrestleMania. Like they
Oh
should
yeah,
have won. They
definitely.
should
And
have
I feel
won.
like they deserved it, especially
Yeah,
after going through like they've been through a lot. Like they split them up and then they put them back together, and it's like okay, like let's make up your mind here.
right,
Like
right.
I absolutely love them together. I do.
Oh no,
But
so do I. I'm a massive fan of the Riot Squad. I'm a massive fan of Liv Morgan. Like I
yes,
said,
definitely.
they should have put the titles. They should not even nobody put the titles on them. Just put them in a title match. Like I
Yeah.
don't care. Just they should have won that turmoil match, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
They
But
should have. They
right.
definitely should have.
Can we just talk about really quick this one match that I feel like I'm talking like prediction really quick, but I just want to mention that Bad Bunny exceeded so many people's expectations at WrestleMania. Can we talk about how amazing he did?
He did really, really well for like I mean, obviously he never really like trained in wrestling for a
Right.
very long time. So like he did really, really well in that aspect. But it started getting to the point like, okay, this is a little too much for Bad Bunny now.
Right. No, no, no. I mean, I kind of agree, I kind of disagree, but
Yeah.
like yo, homeboy hit a Canadian. And it's like he never wrestled. He hit a Canadian
Yeah.
destroyer. Like I am a massive mark for the Canadian destroyer.
Oh
If
yeah.
anybody hits a Canadian or takes one, I'm a pop really quick, like
Oh
loud.
yeah, definitely.
No pun
I
intended.
have yet to
Victoria
take
Pop.
one. And I like to keep it that way.
Right, right.
But I mean, props to him and like that's amazing. Like it's hard doing that. Like just going from a fan to being a wrestler on WrestleMania of all events. Like so definitely kudos to him on that.
Right, and I think they put him with I think they put him with the two of the best people
Oh yeah.
who could put him over. Like
Oh yeah.
a lot of people go, oh, they bury the Miz, this and that, but I'm a big fan of the Miz. But like,
Yeah.
who else can you see in that match other than the Miz and Morrison? Like nobody. Like the Miz and
Honestly, I
Morrison
feel
were
like
perfect.
it sold perfectly. It really did. Like everything just like the whole entire story that they had going with it.
Right.
Like it made like and then they came out with that song like
Oh my god, that was so funny. Holy
it was
crap.
just like this is just perfect. Like the whole nine. They have like the greatest personality just for that. So I feel like everything just like blended very, very well. Like for that entire match.
Yeah, I feel like Bad Bunny has definitely earned a lot of respect from the
Oh yeah.
WWE universe and a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people in the back at WWE. He's earned my
Oh yeah.
respect. I had no high hopes for this match, and I was like, holy shit, like this month.
Yeah.
Yo, if you hit a Canadian in your debut match, you got my respect. So that's it right there. Uh,
Yeah.
that's enough.
That is very hard.
Oh my god, I can only imagine. But that's enough of WrestleMania. Let's talk about Victoria Pop. But how did Victoria Pop really get into the world of professional wrestling? When did you start training, and what was that like?
I actually started training, oh my goodness, 3 years ago? Or has it been 4?
One of those. One of those.
It's one of those. But, so I actually like my friend, she was really good friends with the promoter. and he was trying to get like a little school together, and he was like, "Hey, come try out."
There you
And I
go.
was like, "All right, I'll come try out." And of course, Homicide, he was the trainer at that school and put me through brutal hell.
That's
I woke
incredible.
up the next morning, I could not walk. It hurt to sneeze. Everything hurt on my body. I was in excruciating pain, but for some reason, I just kept going back. And then that school ended up shutting down. So then I started at H2O, and the family there, like they just made my like love for wrestling grow even stronger. Because like you get told all the time, oh, people in the business, like, you know, you got to be careful who you talk to. You got to be careful about this, like, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I was always like nervous, like, oh, do I become friends with you? Or
Or do I not become friends
it's
with
just a
you?
huge family.
Right.
And I love it there.
You said you were in like so much pain the first
Uh,
day after training. What was the first thing your trainer had you do, if you remember?
I know we started out like little sprints and then squats, then push ups,
Oof.
crunches, planks. And then finally we got to running the ropes and all that good stuff. Like doing the rolls and just like the basics starting out. But most of it was he was really testing me to see if I could even like, you know, endurance. Like you have to have it. So he really pushed me to my limit and I almost puked.
I mean, I would have. I mean, after 20 push-ups, I get winded. So,
Whew,
I mean,
I ain't doing
it,
them anymore.
that's. But like, it seems. Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you were kind of skeptical about stepping into the ring and started training.
Oh yeah, I definitely was. Like it's very nerve wracking, especially when you don't know anything. Like I didn't know the difference between a German and a suplex. Like I had no idea, and I'm stepping my foot like I'm going face first into this world and not knowing anything, and so it was just wild. Like,
There's so much wrestling to where, like, I mean, I'm sure you know pretty much a good like everything now, not everything, but like a
yeah,
good
most.
a huge chunk of it. With wow, what you should know. What is something that you don't know that you just discovered?
Um, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard question.
That is a hard question.
So after that training with Homicide, you went to H2O. What is H2O? I know you wrestled for H2O quite a lot. Tell us about that promotion.
Um, Mostly, obviously, they're known for their death matches. They're known for like being hardcore, and I mean, it's in the name.
Right.
But like since Matt Tremont started the school, like obviously we have our Monday night shows, and that's really like all of the students. It's our time to shine, and like he opened up a whole new platform for like a lot of people. Like it started out with just 6 of us, and now there's like 40 of us
Wow.
in total. Yeah, and we have students debuting all the time. Like, and he really, really gives every single student an opportunity, whether it's just managing, like I did when I first started, like learning the ropes, getting in there, like really like cracking open the shell of, you know, figuring out who you are. And he really brings out the best in everybody. And like right now, like all the students, they're just killing it.
Yeah, that
Uh,
seems it's wrestling is very competitive.
yes,
I'm sure you heard the news today. Nine WWE superstars has been released.
it's
Uh,
absolutely wild.
yeah, and like I said, it sucks that those WWE superstars all got released, but
Yeah.
hey, that opens the door for more people.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but you started training, then you went to H2O. After you H2O, what was the time length of your training there? Like, how long did it take for you to get booked into a match?
Um, I want to say probably like a year and a half.
Fair enough.
And then we opened up like the dojo, and that's when like I started doing everything. And I managed Chris Bradley for 7 months
Wow.
before I even debuted on my own. So like it takes time. And
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely did not get wrestling at first. Like, I was stuck in my head. I was scared to death to do anything. And then something clicked.
something clicked, and look at you now. There has to be a time though where you're training, and because you said it took like a year and a half.
Yeah.
How were you able to kind of keep such a positive mindset and just keep pushing?
Honestly, like there were days where I'm like, why am I even going? Why am I driving to training? Like, why do I keep doing this? And like, I just realized like this is what I want. Like, I want this, and I know I can do it. Is I need to get out of my head, and I would get there. And honestly, I would say having really good trainers helped. I was scared of getting hurt, and then finally, like for some reason, like I just it that that fear isn't there. I mean, it's there,
Right.
but it's not there all the time, stopping me from doing more and more.
I love that. That's great. Now let's talk about your first match ever. You said you all
Okay.
this was going through. You said you kind of just forgot about the scary stuff and just like determined just to do what you got to do. What was your first match like?
My first match was against Gabby Ortiz.
Oh, shout out to Gabby.
So,
She has been on the podcast before.
and if it wasn't for her, like, there's a ton of amazing women out there, but I was already like kind of close to her. Like, we like already knew each other. So she really just like broke down everything for me, like kept it nice and simple and sweet. We like got a nice little story across, and like she really took the edge off. Like, obviously I was still shaking,
Right.
but it was like she really like calmed me down. She was like, listen, this is what we're gonna do. And like she's an amazing wrestler, and I absolutely love the fact that she was my first match.
For a lot of people, their debut match is always either a singles match or a match against their trainers. But
Yep.
a lot of the time, I hear battle royals.
Yeah.
Before you got booked in your first singles match which was against Gabby Ortiz, were you booked in any battle royals?
Nope, I was never in a battle royal.
Wow.
I never did a tag. I didn't do my first tag until last Saturday.
What?
um, I
Really?
I jumped right into 1v1s, and that was it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been kind of hard for you then. I mean, you watch a lot of tag team wrestling, and
Oh yeah.
but it must have been kind of hard just to be in your first tag team match ever.
Um, e- we kind of just like went with the flow. Like, I was nervous. I was very nervous because it was an 8-man tag,
Oh,
so it wasn't just like 2-on-2. It was just 8 of
four
us.
on four. Oh, oh
So
no.
it was like it was overwhelming at first, but once we got out there, and I was with really good people, um, and they literally were just like, "We got this,"
There you
and
go.
it went super smooth, and yeah,
I love that. But 8-man, holy shit, 8-man for your first tag
yeah,
team match. I must have
it
been.
was a lot
No, I would have been
because
like,
the
nah,
other team
bro.
had an extra person, so
Oh,
we don't talk about that.
no, we don't talk about that. Uh, the H2O. If correct me if I'm wrong. I hope I'm not wrong on this. This in New Jersey.
Yep, right in Brooklyn.
Yes, I got it right. There's so much independent wrestling
Yeah.
promotions all around. It's the Northeast, especially, but the
Oh
world.
yeah.
Uh, After this whole pandemic is over, where do you want to see Victoria Pop debut or return?
Um, Honestly, I would love to make my way up to Maine. Um, I know like the wrestling scene out there is like really hot.
Heavy.
People love it out there, and I just heard like the fans out there are just amazing. And honestly, I would love to just go to Maine. But Maine is like a really big one, that or California is another place. But yeah, those are like the two biggest places I would love to go to.
There's so much, like I said, there's so much wrestling and independent wrestling all
Oh
over
yeah.
the world.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of hard not to wrestle for most places. Like I'm sure you'll make your way up to California. Limitless
Yeah.
Wrestling, which is in Maine. I'm assuming
Yeah.
you were talking about that promotion.
Hmm.
Uh, but like New Jersey is a great scene up there too. Other than
Oh yeah.
H2O, what other promotions did you wrestle for?
I've only really wrestled for H2O. I've done something really small for cheeseburger school.
Oh, okay.
Um, but that's literally it. I'm at H2O and that's it.
I,
Like COVID hit at a really bad time. Because like I was like kind of ready to start spreading my wings, but not really. Um, but like mainly just H2O has been my home, and that's just where I wrestle.
before I love that. Before COVID hit, were you booked anywhere else other than
No,
H2O or
I was not taking outside bookings.
okay?
And then shortly after we were allowed to come back, I ended up getting taken out of wrestling for a hamstring injury.
Oh,
So I
damn.
was out for a very long time with that because of COVID. COVID literally shut everything down. I wasn't able to get any type of surgery, like, because it's not an emergency surgery. So yeah, it put a damper on my 2020 wrestling big
Oh,
time.
I'm so sorry, but
Yeah.
I don't want to say like it's a blessing, but it's kind of like a cursing and a blessing. Like you got
Yeah.
injured during COVID, so you weren't
Yeah.
missing anything, but it sucks
Yeah.
with the surgery
Thankfully,
part.
yeah. Thankfully, like it was right when it happened, like wrestling really wasn't like big, like they weren't really running shows. They didn't really start until about summertime, so that was a bummer. But like and then like we started like shutting down again a little bit here in Jersey, so wrestling kind of like got cut down again. And but I had my surgery and I got back.
There you go. I love that. We're glad to hear that you're doing better. We actually do have one question from a nerd, and he wants to know, Victoria, who are your biggest influences for your working style? And that is from Michael Wesley.
Has to be Alexa Bliss. It has to be. I love her glitter blizzard. I love everything about it. I love doing sunset flips because of the glitter blizzard. Um, Sunset flips, honestly, I don't know why they're so much fun, but they are. I
I love
absolutely
them. I
love
think they're amazing.
them. like like for some reason, I just love doing them. But honestly, I got my finisher from Lita. I do the Lita style DDT
Nice.
as my finisher, but pretty basic. But yeah, those two are mainly like my biggest influences.
So I'm assuming you just said Alexa Bliss does the sunset flip a lot. Is that your favorite wrestling move?
Um, Kind of, sort of. One thing I do really want to get good at is probably missile drop kicks. Um, I just got to get over my fear of heights
Right.
because I absolutely love them. I think they're really cool. And then you could always, merge from that and do like a coast to coast, which would be really different for me. But like I said, I just got to get over my fear of heights, which I'm working on. Um, but yeah, that's definitely one of the moves I want to incorporate, like, and love. Like, I love top rope stuff,
Right.
but I'm small, so I like to stay near the ground.
uh, other than the sunset flip and the
Yeah.
missile drop kick that you want to learn, what is your all time favorite wrestling move? Like all time that you can never get sick of, no matter how many times people use it or how many times you see it.
Hmm. Trying to think. That's a hard one because I like a lot of them.
So do I.
Um. Hmm.
I know it's a tough one.
It is a really, really tough one. I have it in my head.
That counts. That counts as something. That counts as
Oh my
something.
goodness, I literally drew a blank as to what the heck it is.
It's all right. It's all right. You know what?
Moonsault.
There you go. Oh,
Moonsault.
moonsault.
I I think they're freaking fascinating. Like anybody who can do one, like I will pop for it hands down every single time.
No matter who
The
does it.
second I see it, that and even frog splashes, like I just think it's so I love it.
Speaking of frog splashes, Montez Ford has a beautiful frog
Oh
splash.
yeah.
Oh my god, that
Oh my
holy
goodness.
shit, that man gets some height on there. Like fucking Christ, he's so good at those. Oh
It's
man.
crazy. Like some people are just like ballsy. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna call them ballsy because
that's fine. Hey, perfect. I mean, I would never do one. I mean, I'll be too scared. I'll be like, no, I can't do it. Like it's too high. It's too high. I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
I don't like heights. I'm not a big fan of heights at all. But after this whole thing is over, this whole COVID is over. I know you said you want to wrestle for a few places.
Yeah.
What other goals do you have in mind?
Um, Probably I kind of want to get into more hardcore stuff. Surprising. Because I always slurping down not to. But for some reason, like there's just like this little like poke in the side, and it's like, come on, just do
Just
it.
do it. Just do it.
But yeah, probably hardcore stuff is something that I might look into in my near future. It's a goal. At least
Hardcore.
one. At least one hardcore match.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I can't watch them. I mean, I give so much credit to people who are in hardcore matches, and I'm just like, who are some big hardcore wrestlers? I know Brandon Kirk does a lot of those
Oh
matches.
yeah, he does.
I forgot that guy's name who wrestles for GCW. He's a crazy motherfucker. Uh,
Jimmy?
Jimmy. I don't know his name. Drawing a blank like you drew a blank with with the moonsault, but I forgot his name. For anybody who's listening, please comment the name. But yeah, in the hardcore matches, I give so much credit to people who do hardcore matches. I see
Oh
like
yeah.
someone get cut with like a piece of glass. I'm like, oh, God, nope.
Hmm.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Oh yeah.
It's like so. I cry over a paper cut. Like
Ooh.
I can't do death matches. But holy shit, kudos to you. Let's hope you do a death match and you come out okay.
Yep,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
definitely announce that as if it does happen.
Yeah, I
Let's hope.
definitely will. Definitely will share the crap out of
Yeah,
it.
you got it. That's your first death match. You got to promote that shit
Oh
like
yeah.
crazy. Oh man, that's awesome. Victoria, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was a lot of fun. I definitely hope to have you on again in the near future.
Definitely. I am so happy that you had me. But yeah.
Yeah, anytime, of course. Before we leave, drop those plugs. Where can those nerds find you?
I am on at Twitter, it's the Victoria Pop, and Instagram, it is I am Victoria Pop.
There you go, nerds. Go check out Victoria Pop on all social media platforms. This has been an episode of What's Up Wrestler, a podcast by Nerds of Wrestling. I'm your host, Justin Del Rio. Peace out, nerds.